Hello everyone, this is Tim with Paintball Tek. Got a rebuild video for you guys today. This is one of the most common regulators that's found on some of the early 2000 autocockers. This is the War Games inline. Despite what a lot of people may think, these are adjustable regulators. You just have to take off the lower cap to see the screw on the bottom that adjusts the regulator pressure. But we'll go into that once we get down into it. So, the reg is a three-piece design. You can see the top cap, midsection holding the piston, and the lower cap here. So these three pieces all separate. We're going to start with the top cap on the left. Just unscrews like that. Set that aside. And then the bottom cap here unscrews like that. Set that aside. Now, for the O-rings in these two sections, because those are the quickest and easiest to replace, this one has a 112 that just sits in the bottom. What this O-ring does is it seals against this lower lip here on the midsection, so that you don't get a leak between the two halves. Let me grab a new one. So this O-ring literally just drops down in place like that, and you put a little bit of oil on it just to keep it moist. Set that aside. And this top section has obviously the 015, which is the standard tank ring. Replace that with another 015, either 70 or 90 durometer is fine. 90 durometer being the stiffer one. And then this brown seal here is a 018, -018. So now that the top and bottom are taken care of, leave those aside and we'll just deal with the midsection. So, and the top, it has the main piston and the springs underneath it. To get those out, easiest thing to do is just kind of whack it on a table, something with a soft surface on it so you don't scratch it or damage it. These do use a bevel spring stack, like this. There are 7 springs, or 7 washers, you want to call them, in the stack. They just go, upside down, end to end, all the way down the piston. Set that aside. And then on the bottom here, you see the screw that has the reg seat underneath it and adjusts your pressure. So you want to unscrew this out of the bottom. Usually the spring will be stuck to the reg seat. If it's not, it will be inside here. You can just pull it out. And then inside, you'll also find the little brass top hat and the number 8 ring that seals in this little groove inside. So if you're going to lay it all out, you would have set up like this. That's all your pieces, in which order they go in, like that. So, like I said, going down the list, 15 and 18. This is another 112, a number 8 reg seat, another 112 on the bottom. So, most of the time these reg seats are actually in decent shape. This one has gotten a little squishy, so you can see it kind of dig into it and it starts to crumble apart from age. So we're going to go ahead and dig this one out. I want to use a sharp dental pick or something to kind of pull it out of the housing. These rake seats you can still get. Paintball Gateway, I believe, sells a rebuild kit that has them included in there. So I'm going to set that aside and grab a new rake seat. These rake seats are have a bit of a taper to them from the stamping process. It's just a stamped seat out of a sheet. So go ahead and press your new seat into the housing. Now, unfortunately, when you do this, the seat usually seals around the edge and creates a small pocket of air underneath. So the easiest thing to do is either get a pin, small, thin pin, or a dental pick or something. Kind of press it down on the side while you're pressing the rake seat in the housing. And that'll let the air escape around the edge and get that seat pressed, all the way down inside. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the other two O-rings that are inside here. This one, like I said, is number 8008. And then the one on the piston is a 112, same as the one in the lower section. Okay. From the factory, these rigs used silicone grease, so you can use silicone grease on it. You can use Dow 33 if that's what you got. You'd probably get away with using just regular gun oil too. I'd recommend using some sort of grease just for longevity between service, because oil will dry up, especially if it's a marker that doesn't get used a ton. So grease on that O-ring, and then you want to grease the inside wall just a little bit so that it doesn't have a dry surface when you're putting the piston in. Set that aside for now, and then we'll deal with the bottom section here. There is a groove inside the reg housing, kind of down there towards the bottom, that the number 8 falls into. It just goes in and sits inside that groove. It doesn't have to go into a captured groove or anything like that. So once that's in there, you put a couple drops of oil on the seal, and then you're going to want to put the top hat in on top of it. The top hat goes in with the top of the top hat facing the bottom of the reg, so if you put it in, the flat section goes first. I usually find you put it on a long punch or an Allen key or something so it falls down in where you want it to go. Just make sure it's in there seated. And the small spring and your new reg seat assembly. Now, without a pressure tester, you won't be able to set the reg to your pressure that you want it to be. But usually, easy way to kind of roughly set your pressure on these is when you get that screw all the way in so that it's flush with the bottom of the black housing here, go in one full turn. So from holding this point at the 12 o'clock position, spin it around one full rotation, roughly one full rotation, and that should be right about 300 psi. It usually gets between 290 and 310, somewhere in that range, which is what cockers are run best at, or at least that's a good starting point. And then to adjust it, all you have to do is remove the bottom cap and spin in or out. It's very, very small, minute turns to change the pressure. So, and we're going to go ahead and put the piston back in. I like to add a little bit of grease on this small section of piston because that seals inside that number 8. A little bit of oil. Nice slick movement. Put the piston in until it's seated all the way in the bottom. Put some oil on the number 18. Oil or grease, whichever. Screw your top section on. And then you already have oil on this one, so screw the bottom half on. And we wipe off any excess oil and grease that's on the outside. And your reg is ready to use for your next project. Thank you very much, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you have any parts that you want to request rebuild videos for, please also ask as well. Thank you very much. Have a good day.